In my lifetime, I have ridden 64 coasters from multiple various parks such as Cedar Point, Dollywood, Carowinds, and others. Today, I will be counting down my top 20 roller coasters and sharing with you my opinions. But before this video begins, if you guys really like my channel content, then please consider subscribing. We're on the road to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so subscribing would really help me out, and you would see more stuff like this if you subscribe to me and click the notification bell. With all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Number 20, Valraven at Cedar Point. So this ride always hasn't been the best for me, but I actually really enjoy this ride. Some people hate on it, saying the vest restraints restrict all the airtime, but I actually got a decent pop of floater on the drop. And I love the inversions, especially the 0G roll. And this ride overall is really fun, although it doesn't pull the best forces in the world. Number 19, Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. Copperhead Strike has always been really fun to me. It's not the most forceful or the best ride in the world, but it's just really fun. The inversions give stellar hang time, and there's some really good ejector airtime on this ride. Overall, this is a really great ride, and I think it's very underrated. Number 18, Thunderhead at Dollywood. This is the only wooden coaster on the list for a reason. This is a great GCI with good laterals, solid floater airtime, and really cool moments like the station flyby. Number 17, Intimidator at Carowinds. So, this is a B&M Hyper. This is also my lowest ranked B&M Hyper. You know why? The trims kill the ride. Even with all those trimmed airtime hills though, the ride is still super fun, and I love the drop and the final surprise airtime pop that absolutely delivers in the floater department. Number 16, Alpinegeist at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So this ride was my first ever B&M invert, and back then, it was my number one coaster. Now this ride has dropped quite a bit, but it still holds up today with some of my other coasters I've ridden, and I put it over Intimidator. The ride is nice and forceful, and it delivers some good inversions. Number 15, Magnum XL200 at Cedar Point. So this ride, I came in thinking that it would be one of the worst coasters at the park, because what I've heard, it would be rough. Well, no. I rode it and it was rough, but still, those triangle hills blew me away. The airtime was so good that it was painful. Literally. The lap bar and the roughness and the transitions might not be the best, but this ride overall is really good. Number 14, Griffin at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So remember how I mentioned Valraven earlier in the list? Well, this is basically Valraven, but a bit smaller. This ride, however, does have over-the-shoulder restraints compared to the vest restraints, which allows for a lot more airtime, and this ride just fully delivers on the airtime. It is a really good ride, but it is, like Valraven, a one-trick pony, and there really isn't the best things after the drop. Number 13, Raptor at Cedar Point. Most people say this is one of, or the best B&M invert, but I don't really see the hype around this ride. It wasn't the most intense when I went, even though the mid-course wasn't hitting hard. And overall, I was very disappointed by this ride, but it still is a very good ride, and it's kind of forceful. Number 12, Goliath at Six Flags Great America. So this is the weakest out of the 4 RMCs I've ridden. That's not saying it's a bad ride though. The 0G stall and the drop are probably my favorite parts. The stall is really good because you just hang upside down, and the drop is really good because it provides very good floater airtime. But other than that, this ride is super short and it's kind of bland, although it is really good. Number 11, Raging Bull at Six Flags Great America. So this is my favorite coaster at Six Flags Great America. The drop in the back row is just pure ejector airtime, and some of the other moments of the ride give really good ejector and floater airtime. And overall, this ride is a complete package because it actually has other moments than airtime on a B&M Hyper. It's got the rapid fire transitions that aren't too forceful, but they're very fun, and I actually really like the twister layouts. And it is not my least favorite B&M Hyper. That honor goes to Intimidator over there. Number 10, Afterburn at Carowinds. After riding a few other B&M inverts, Afterburn still stands today as my favorite B&M invert. It is just uber intense, and that Batwing is just insane, and it's really great. This ride does not let up at any point, and the drop is very whippy. Overall, it's a really good B&M invert, and that's why it slots in at the number 10 spot. Number 9, Millennium Force at Cedar Point. So this ride isn't too forceful, but it's not forceless either. The ride has a focus on speed, and it really shows that out throughout the ride. It has some nice low-to-the-ground elements, and one of my favorite parts of the ride is the nice little finale, where it goes over an airtime hill that gives a good floater, and then an overbank over the queue line into the brakes. It is a really cool interaction moment with all the guests that are waiting in 2-hour lines. Number 8, Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. So this ride is overrated for me, but the ride is just super intense, and the transitions are just insane. The whip is great, and overall, it's just an intensity machine. I just value airtime over intensity, so that's why I place it at number 8. Number 7, Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This was my first ever B&M Hyper, and it still remains today as my favorite B&M Hyper. The ride delivers some really good floater airtime, and there's some other cool moments like the Helix that is forceless, but it's really fun, and overall the ride I can describe as really fun in general. Number 6, Top Thrill Dragster at Cedar Point. So, this ride isn't the most complete package in the world. After all, it is only 17 seconds long, but this ride just has the most powerful launch and the best launch I've ever experienced on a coaster. And the top hat is kind of intense, and you can fly over it or you can crawl over it. I flew over the top hat, so it was really fun, and I got a decent pop of airtime. But the reason this ride's not in my top 5 is because it's absolutely super short, just like I mentioned, and the 400-foot drop could be better, but the spiral kind of kills any stomach drop you would have gotten. Number 5, Maverick at Cedar Point. So basically this is Top Thrill Dragster. Well, it's not really. The second launch is kind of as powerful as Top Thrill Dragster's launch, but it's not as powerful, and this ride is a basic mini i305. It's intense, it's got those good transitions, it's got a really nice twisted horseshoe roll, it's got great airtime, and it's a very good Intamin Blitz coaster. It's a full package. Number 4, Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. So this is my favorite ride at King's Dominion, over i305, over Dominator. It's just so good. The ejector airtime, including those triple camelbacks, is just flawless, and the inversions work so perfectly with the ride. It's just overall a perfect harmony of elements, and it's a great layout. And what they had to work with, which is the old hurler, wasn't much, but they turned it into a solid top 5 coaster that I absolutely love. Number 3, Fury 325 at Carowinds. Well, this is a full package. It's got airtime, it's got good restraints, it's got a great drop, and it's pretty intense. So overall, it's a great full package ride. The drop is just insane. It feels like you are falling into an infinite void, and the ride is very snappy with some of the transitions. And the restraints, not to mention, are the B&M clamshells, which are absolutely great, and they provide a lot of wiggle room sometimes, so you can really feel the airtime and power of Fury 325. Number 2, Lightning Rod at Dollywood. This ride was my number 1 until last week, but this ride is super powerful. The ejector airtime is literal heaven if you're a coaster enthusiast, and every moment of the ride is great. The launch may be a little slow in 2021, but after that, you really won't notice a change from the older version of the ride. It absolutely has a great wave turn, an incredible twist and shout, great airtime moments going up to the quad down, and the quad down itself is insane. This ride is not a full package, but it is airtime heaven, and that's why it's my number 2. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, my number 1 coaster is Steel Vengeance. You already knew it. Steel Vengeance is an RMC. Not just an RMC Hyper Hybrid. The drop is absolutely great. The inversions are flawless. The airtime is just insane. You're going to be out of your seat the entire ride. And everything about this ride is just insane, and that is why it's my number 1 coaster. Anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this, then please consider subscribing. It would really help me out on my goal to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and we're getting pretty close, so subscribing would really help out that goal. Anyways, thanks for watching, see you guys, and keep on riding.